Hi, my name is Shanae Fogel, and today I will be doing my Psychology 219 project interview on my subject.
McCray.
Hello, Andre. The first session will basically be about your family, your upbringing, and your childhood memories. So let's get started. First is family. I would like to know, what do you know about your family roots?
What do I know about my family roots? Not too much. I was born in Georgetown, South Carolina. Um, Little town. Good. I couldn't tell you the population. That is maybe 45 minutes away from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but the same direction, 45 minutes from Charleston, South Carolina. Family. Um, Family can come from a family of my mom and dad, Alice McCray and Richard Ford.
Um,
I forgot my dad's last name. I did.
it's fine. What do you remember about your grandparents?
I do not remember my grandparents. I was too young. They both passed away from both sides while I was not here.
You were you weren't born yet?
No, I was not born
Okay. What stories have you heard about them?
here. Growing up, to tell you the truth, I really didn't hear much. From what I do know, my mom was, because she was adopted at an early age, and she didn't know her parents. I know that they said this lady, um, Grandma Ethel, raised her. No real connection with Grandma Ethel because she passed away before I got younger, so I really never asked my mom about any stories or, you know, anything doing like, marches or anything like that doing coming up in South Carolina. So
Um, okay. Sounds interesting. What was your mother like?
what is my mother like?
What was she about like? What was she like?
My mother's still up.
What was she like? Like when you were growing up?
Growing up, loving, caring, single. She raised 11 kids on her own. I am the youngest out of the all 11. Um, Always worked two jobs. Always was food on the table. Um, Anytime I needed her, she was there.
Now, to make it more interesting, whenever you were bad,
Oh yeah, I got punished. Punished to the point of whoopings. I'm call it like we call it down in South Carolina. It was whoopings. There was no spare the rod, spoil the child. And I do something bad, I got a butt whoop. I didn't. It does not make me or break me. It actually, not to say make me or break me, but it made me who I am today.
what did she tell you about her childhood?
Growing up, from my mom, she was raised in the South. Um, this was during segregation. Blacks to one bathroom, whites to the other. Grew up hard. Grew up with, you know, I guess where the cotton fields and the corn fields. Grew up on the farm. Um, Growing up younger, very different than my mom. She liked baseball cards and comic books and um, I guess like collector's item. No, I did not grow up like that at all. My mom, um, like I said, born and raised in South Carolina, been there her whole life. Only been to like North Carolina. Um, Her childhood was nothing bad. I do know that she was adopted younger, raised around family and friends. She has um, 2 brothers, 1 sister. Sister is previously predeceased. Um, she just loved life and ran around and worked everywhere and installed that, working gets you where you should be.
Now, I noticed that you said that she grew up hard. What do you mean? Do you care to explain?
Um, no real details ever from my mom. Just everything was hard. Just during segregation time.
Okay.
Um, During that time, with Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, even before then with Medgar Allen. Um, just during in the South Carolina, during the 50s, 60s, 40s, even 70s, growing up, everything was hard. Everything was, whites one way, blacks another way. Um, you know, Everything. I'm not gonna hold no bars. It's just wherever you go down south, we call them rednecks. Rednecks, country boys. Some of them were mannered. Some of them were ill mannered.
And you also stated that she was easygoing. What do you mean by that?
Easygoing.
Yeah, like
Um,
carefree.
Very. I don't know. Took every. There was never no gray to her life. It was never black and white. It was always sunshine. It was always you look on the brighter side of life. You don't look at the bad stuff. The bad stuff is only there as a trial, and once you pass that trial, you move on to your glory basically, and that's the way that she raised us. She raised us in the church, and you know none of us strayed from that. It's just we just kept pushing. She kept us to say there's something else over that hump that you're going through, and she always look at life as I was presented my life. I'm going to live my life. I don't look at the Huxtables as the way to live. This is what God gave me. This is what God gave me to give to you, and this is why we're going to laugh about the situation before we cry about it.
And you said that she liked to collect baseball cards, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But what did you like to do with her?
What do I like to do with her? Growing up with my mom, things I like to do is, I guess she's the person that I learned everything from. Um, the most things that we've done together is go to church, cooking around the house, cleaning, laughing. That's where I will get my humor from. I laugh at every situation I see. We can be walking to the store, somebody falls, we laugh. Just everything that we've done together was always evolved, going to family functions, schools, school functions, church functions. We were very, not to say religious, but yeah, religious, and we believed in, going to church every Sunday, and when there's a program during the week, we'll be attending those programs, even if we have to bring books and stuff. So all of our functions and doing things together revolved around church and home.
Okay. Would you like to answer the same type of questions for your father?
With my father, I did not know too much about. I know him, but I don't know him. I know him from coming around, sometimes doing Christmas, sometimes doing birthdays. No real relationship, and even as I got older, no real relationship. I'd never bothered to be part of that lifestyle, and that's just how would I say, my personal, that's just the way I feel personally about that situation in my life. I just never pursued a relationship to a point where I understood everything that was going on in my life. I knew him, he knew me. I was alive, he's alive.
Okay. And I can assume by the way you talk about your mother so highly that you are closer to her and that you admire her the most, correct?
Definitely.
Um, and did you have any brothers and sisters? And if
Um,
so, how many?
I have 10 brothers and sisters. I have 3 brothers, 6 sisters. 11 of us all together.
Okay. Um, what was your relationship with them?
Very close family. Did basically everything. Like I said, my mom grew us up all like, the oldest raised the youngest. Mom is at work. When we get old enough, we venture out on our own. Still call each other to this day. Text each other. Gotten better as technology has grown, where you can keep in contact with no matter where they're at. I love them. They love me. Very, very close, no matter what part of the world that we're in.
Um, did your mother have different ideas for boys and the girls? Like, say, for example, you could date at age 16 and they couldn't date till they were 18, or...
For my family, the way that we were raised was we are all equal. There was no big difference in placing you know, a certain standard. For us, everything was based around the church. Well, girls used to wear skirts on Sundays, and boys used to go to church in suits. Well, not really suits, but pants. Our biggest thing was to raise like she didn't raise us like a girl follows her husband, are supposed to go out, cook dinner, all of this. She raised us to, be independent, be loving, be caring, reach out for the next person.
Um, and to continue on with family, do any family celebrations, rituals, or observations stand out in your mind?
For my family, it was always gatherings, no matter where it was, any holiday where all the family, no matter we were married or far away, everybody got back together. Christmas time, we had we used to pick names out of the hat, buy gifts because it was 11 of us.
So when you picked the names out of the hat, it was Secret Santa?
Yeah, like Secret
in a
Santa.
way.
And
Okay.
we go out and we buy gifts for the names that we had, plus the gifts that were coming from, mom, sisters, everybody else, and those that had kids, because it was like I reiterate, there's 11 of us. That was Christmas time. During other holidays, like say Thanksgiving or Easter, we will rotate whose house that we're going to. Everybody would cook. It was not always like say Sunday. We would have, how would I say, Sunday dinner was always at my mom's house. But when it came to these big events where everybody would pile up into a car or, just go to whoever house it was for that day, it was, mainly 3 sisters and a brother that I remember growing up, that houses that we used to share these events at. And we would go there to, eat these big dinners, such as, collard greens, banana pudding, cake, turkey, ham, macaroni and cheese, collard greens.
Yummy.
I'm
getting hungry.
The whole thing, everything from the pig, basically. Rice, red beans and rice. And that was before I knew, what red beans and rice was. This was everything. These are the rituals that we went through. Everything that stands out is, Easters that, everybody used to go and get fresh haircuts, hairdo. Everybody used to come to church with, shiny shoes, straight jackets, pants that was already ironed. Everything that we supposed to come out and look, because these are the things that my mom installed in us.
So you can basically say, like, events like holidays, you took very seriously. Like, you were clean cut and made sure you were properly dressed.
Yeah, holidays, and this is every day. Like, my mom didn't raise no shabby kids, and so we didn't have it. We didn't have everything in the world, but at least we would learn how to dress and how to impress. And we were going out in the community. This is what we supposed to do. Even though we were raised to be independent for ourselves, we were raised to respect the household that we were coming from and respect. When you go out there, you're very much judged by the way you look. No matter what people try to say, this is what my mom installed in us. We go out there to impress. We leave an impression on that the person that we come in contact with.
And now we're going to go into the second half of the first session, which is about your neighborhood. What was your home like down south in South Carolina?
My home and what what do you...
Like, what did it look like?
My home, we were poor. We were very, 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 very poor. 2 bedroom, 11 kids. Raised a family house, or was, given down through generations. There was no build up because, like I said, we didn't have it all. But we didn't never look at it as, we look at it as this is our home. We, household was built on love, stayed in love until, I guess we can say, the age of 7. I think it was 7, we moved to the projects. This is, in South Carolina. Projects was, to black people, as considered the bad neighborhood, the rough neighborhood.
Now, when you say projects, do you mean like
Housing authority?
Like trailer park?
No, these were
or
brick,
apartments, brick apartments,
brick houses that
Okay.
looked like. And this was our first house that had more than 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. We had 2 baths in that house, so I thought it was a mansion. I thought it was, walking in. Me and my brother had my own room. My sisters had their room. 2 of my sisters had their room. My mom had her own room. Like I said, you walk in and you can actually see 2 bathrooms. You're living like the Clampetts. Like you're living like George and Wheezy. We finally moved up, even though this was considered low housing, subsidized housing. At 7 years old, 8 years old, I knew nothing about all of that. I just knew we moved to a new place where, my toys were there, my family was there. This was closer to school. This was basically in the city. This was not to say in the city, but this was, still
suburban,
still in the small town of Georgetown, but it was more houses, more neighbors, different people than the cousins that I grew up around.
And since you mentioned your toys, I would like to know what objects do you remember in some of the rooms? Like what type of toys, the name, the brands, what kind of beds?
Wow, you asked me to dive deep into my childhood. Me growing up, it was all about Hasbro and Bugs Bunny, Warner Brothers, Daffy Duck, Piglet, Winnie the Pooh, plenty of stuffed animals. But most of the stuff that my mom actually made herself, handmade. These were Christmas presents as well, birthday presents. In the rooms were, mostly twins beds for, my brother and me. And another room was twin beds for my sister, 2 of my sisters. The last room, twin beds for my mother and sister again. And then the main bedroom where my mom was, the master bedroom, was just her bed. Her room was basically, master bedroom, color TV, dresser. And my room was toys, posters. This was growing up during the 80s, where it was like New Edition and, how would I say?
I'll be sure.
No,
the New Jack.
That was very 90s then.
The New Jack City.
That wasn't, not yet. Growing up, well, my childhood, because I grew up in the projects, it was from 9 all the way up to 16, basically. So it was like my whole life. So I did grow up through that era of 80s and 90s, growing up with Transformers all over the place and, with my sisters, we call it Barbies and Cabbage Patches and Garbage Pail Kids, and growing up with actually cassette tapes rather than CDs and digital downloads.
And since you said you lived in subsidized housing.
The projects?
Yeah, quote unquote the projects, quote unquote the ghetto.
That's not the ghetto.
How did you feel about your neighborhood? Like,
loved it.
Why?
Based on like my neighborhood, don't get me wrong, growing up, we're blind to say the drug use and everything that the news pretend that project housing was. My neighborhood grew up, loved it. This is back in the days where you can stay out till the light comes on, then you're home. Everything that we did outside, playing together. I was from the I'm gonna say era where you fight with one person the next day and fight with them on Tuesday, Wednesday we're back friends again. Thursday you can have the same fight, but Friday we know we're looking forward to the weekend. We're gonna ask, mom or dad or auntie or grandma, whoever we were staying with, can we go over to Tony's house to spend the night? These are the days and the times of what I loved about growing up. It can be a bad from what from how would I say it?
And since you said that you loved your neighborhood, I wanted to know, was your family different from your neighbors in any way? And did those neighbors have any kids that you grew up with that became your childhood friends, and what did you do with them?
Oh, growing up in my neighborhood, plenty of neighbors, family and friends. These are the people that, I'm from where in the projects the neighbors raise you as well as your parents. Remember, Miss Mary and Miss I forgot her name, Anita, who was raised with two boys of her own. Miss Mary was a white lady that grew up in the projects with a son, Jason, and an older brother. I can't recall his name, but he used to hang with my older brothers. We used to hang with Jason. Used to hang with another white family that moved in as well, and his name was the son of, I think her name was Miss Mary as well too, where her son name was Eddie. Used to hang out with Eddie, go to school with Eddie, elementary school, middle school.
Now, when you say hang out, what do you mean by hang out?
Play.
Smoke, drink,
no,
mall, movies. How old, like what age are you talking about right now?
This was from 9 all the way up to 16.
Okay, and
this was everything that hanging out was supposed to mean before hanging out became, like, say, a bad word. No, this is, childhood,
innocent child play.
Yeah, problem free. These are the things that we used to do, like, go to each other's house to watch cartoons, hanging out real late, go to the playground, swings, kickball, baseball, softball, walking to the neighborhood store, purchasing candy, coming back and sitting on each other's porch, eating the candy, doing homework together. If their mother was not home, we would go to our neighbor's house because, like I said, in the projects, it was not bad for me. It was just everybody raised the next person's child.
You were used to it and you thought of it as clean cut fun.
It was clean cut fun. I mean, no, there was no bad things for me growing up. I maybe a blind eye to everything, but my mom raised us to look on the very good things in life, and like not everything bad happened in the projects. For me, it was very good. My friends were good, clean cut friends where we went to school together, we hung out together, we asked what each other was going to be doing, we called each other.
I would like to know about your school background, like how far away was your school? Describe the school you went to. Like, were your classmates from the same background as you were? Were boys and girls treated alike? And what subject did you like or dislike?
Completed school from elementary school all the way up to high school. Elementary school went to two. The first was McDonald's elementary school, but we moved, and since we moved from where my mom lived, was, you could say, the country, moved into the city part of Georgetown. We went to another school, which is Kensington School, and I went from there from first grade all the way up to fifth grade. And then we moved, not to say we moved from always down south. It's always kindergarten through fifth grade. And then fifth grade, you graduate. You have a graduation. All your friends, we wear robes and tassels and hats. Moms and dads bring cameras and posters and balloons. And we go to middle school. Middle school is from sixth grade all the way up to eighth grade. This is the same thing. Down south, there was where I was. It was how would I say? One middle school. It was like everybody that was being from the Catholic schools, because we also had Catholic schools in Georgetown, as well as the public schools. Catholic schools was the same thing, kindergarten to fifth grade. After you graduate from there, you move on to middle school, which is a public school. Now, this is kids from more neighborhoods, not only just the projects, not only just people that was raised there went to that one elementary school, because down south it was 3 elementary schools altogether, and we all combined for one class starting in the 6th grade all the way up to high school. And this was Beck Middle School. Went there, all 3 years, and from there went into high school, which is Georgetown High School. And we started the school when, I won't say segregation ended, because segregation ended maybe some years before then. Not to say segregated, but there was 2 high schools other than, there was 2 high schools in my town, which is, one was Winyard High School and Howard High School. Howard High School was AKA the black high school. Winyard was AKA the white high school.
And from the white high school compared to the black, how were the boys and girls dressed? Like, were the white schools more preppy, black school more hipster?
Well, for me, I didn't go to those high schools. By the time I reached Georgetown High School, there was no more of those 2 high schools. I would only heard about those high schools from my older sisters and brothers. So by the time I reached high school, everybody was one class, combined, black, white, Hispanic, Chinese, all kids from different races and background, no matter if you were more on the poorer side, such as the projects or the country, or on the richer side, which is the suburbs, and parents that were doing well, like working at the paper mill and the steel mill. We all went to one high school. We all grew up one class, one family, one friends. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Well, it was just all of us all together. And this was from 6th grade all the way up to 12th grade. Not unless you moved out of town. Then that's when you went to a different school.
And within this school, what subject did you like? And please don't say lunch.
Who doesn't like lunch, especially free lunch? For me, it was lunch. No. No, for me, I enjoyed English. I loved English. I loved everything from English, writing, reading. I learned about, Edgar Allan Poe, Shakespeare, different how to write short stories, live out whatever your life wasn't giving you, live out your life, in these short stories. Adventure. This was everything that I learned from, my teachers, from Mr. Holloway all the way in middle school, all the way up to Mrs. Oh gosh, I forgot her last name. Mrs. Derby in high school. And these were my subjects. I was never the best person at math. I understood it enough to get through high school. But when it came to, science, I enjoyed it. Also took, biology. But above all, I think because it was such more dynamics in reading and the stories and the things that can come out of the stories, your own story that you can put on paper and live out. I always enjoyed English and reading.
And from going to school, did you take it along, like the education you were taught, did you take it along? Because I know that you moved up north, which is Connecticut, from Georgetown, South Carolina. Um, like, how and when did you get your first job? Like from English, did you feel a need to go and major in English when you went off to college?
No. For me, I was supposed to go to college in South Carolina. Actually, I'll start over from there. 11th grade, came up here to Connecticut to visit my sister because she was married to a guy here in Connecticut. Family and friends was everybody important. One of my closest sisters, Dorothy, married a guy named Barney. We came up here. Not that we came up. They came up here. Came up here to visit. One of the summer, I wanted to stay. My mom said I couldn't stay, so I had to go back to South Carolina to finish my education. So moving up from South Carolina to up to here, I never really found an interest. I mean, I found an interest in going to college. It was just so difficult trying to find a college because I wasn't the best student, so I didn't have the best GPA. I took the ACTs, I passed. I could have gone. I just decided not to go. So moving up here in South Carolina, I mean, not moving up here in South Carolina, I'm sorry. Moving here to Connecticut after my senior year, where, you know, from a small town, your only exits were, you know, jail and armed services. So moving up here to Connecticut, it was, you know, a different story. This was another chapter in my life. This was something I'm doing on my own. This was something that nobody had to force me. This is something that I wanted. And moving up here has been the best experience. And using my background in education, because my mom told me, like, you're nothing without an education, without a diploma. And this is from a woman that went back at the age of, let's say, in her 40s, 50s to go get her GED. So I know if she can do it, it's meant a lot for her so that we all finish high school. And she saw all 11 of her kids finish high school and go on to higher education or the armed services. And for myself, coming up here in Connecticut, found a higher education and going to community colleges, University of Bridgeport, seeking degree in human services, and even as now, going back to going back to get my EMT training as well too. And from my high school days, elementary days, I learned that an articulate black man can go further than those that are not articulate. I mean, some people can take it as you want, but I know if you can form a sentence, you can get a job. And that's the way I was raised. That's the way I take life. This is the way, not to say nothing wrong with non-articulate people or the way you talk, but the way you present yourself, like my first statement and when we started, your first impression is your best impression. And I know for me, I always look forward to reading and writing and putting everything that I learned in life and through these phenomenal teachers to put my best foot forward. Like I said, these are the stories that fold me, and not to say fold me, but mold me into who I am and pursuing further outside of your box.
And with the mentality that you had, I'm pretty sure that you took your educated ways with you to Connecticut because your mother taught you well. But how and when did you get your first job, and what did that work involve?
My first job was, what was my first job? Security guard.
Where?
Elderly housing in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It was a job that was newly formed. 2 days out of the week, it did not pay nothing. I just knew this was my job because all through high school and middle school, I could not have work. So this was my opportunity when I first break free. Not to say break free, but I went on my own and I found my job. I know that, you know, money pays the bills. So I had to make money. And this was my way of doing it. 2 days a week, I went from there. And, you know, with the security job, like you wanted to know like the background and education and stuff like that. We had to write out our reports. We had to write out every 15 minutes of doing around and walking around. And I know what, even with security, the way that you can articulate yourself, you can diffuse a situation before putting your hands on somebody.
What was your best job you ever had, and
My
the worst?
my best job I ever had seriously was a. I used to work for my best friend Chris's mom at a summer camp at I'm sorry, Roosevelt Elementary School. My first say higher paying job. This was I was actually a teacher's aide. I was getting paid to teach a class and bring in books and have the kids doing work and math problems and coloring. I did kindergarten from kindergartners going into first grade. So, and what I liked about it, I loved about it, it was not only it was for let me see, I think it was July, the whole month of July and the first week in August. And what I loved about it was not only kindergartners going into first grade, but this was also I was moved around because I was good. Um, Moved around into doing fourth grade in PE, and you know I say it was fun because we went on trips. It was actually you're grown and you got people underneath you that doing what you said and things like that. My worst job, I can say by now I've had bad experiences at jobs, such as the job that I do, which is working in human service field and working for Marrakesh Inc., Ableist Inc., RHD. These are working with people with physical and mental disabilities. I could say because I always picked what I want to do and love to do. I have bad experiences, but never a bad job.
Like you never had a bad feeling towards a job. Like you've always learned and grown.
Yeah, I take on a job as a new experience as saying I'm gonna get paid for something I love doing. I will never take a job just because the money is good. I mean, we all take a job and say, the money could be better because cost of living is going up, or I want this, I want that, I want a job to pay me $1 million my first day to quit. But for me, it was always I knew human service field. No matter what you do, you get more stress than you get fulfillment out of. But if you went on there with your heart instead of your head, you will get more fulfillment than you get stress out of it. So I've never had a bad per se job. I just had bad experiences, such as with those with mental um, how do I say it to be politically correct? Um, Mental disturbances. Those adults with those kind of disabilities. There were behaviors, and I had to use my physical strength to put them down. Um, those were experiences like how would I say? Not a bad experience. Working in that field was a client going to Kmart and sitting down in the middle of Kmart didn't want to get up, so I had to ask the staff that I was with to go get the van, pull it up to the side. The manager came up to us, asked us, do you want to call the police? We'll be like, help. I actually had to say, no, I don't want your help at this time because we have to do it ourselves. We showed them our badge and showed them that we were, part of the state, and that this is something that, you can't deny them community experience, but with community experience, you may run into those problems because they are, adults with mental disabilities. So it's not going to go always rainbows and ice creams and cookies. You're going to have those bad experiences because these adults want to be that center of attention, and this is the way they get that center of attention.
Would you have chosen a different career?
Um,
Looking back at like your past experiences, would you have chosen something different?
I would have chosen to be more, how would the word be? More attentive in school. Me, during that time, I would choose to be more attentive during that time. That way I can raise my GPA. That way I can have more experience.